Hi, Kirby. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. We have a really kind of creative topic today, and that is audio and acoustic OSINT. So,
Yes.
um, I'm the wrong part of the page here, but before we even go into it, we kind of want to let's talk about like how you were first introduced and how I was first introduced to the idea of audio or acoustic OSINT. And for me, at least, it was MASCENT or MASCENT. What about you?
Well, part of it was Mascent or Mascent,
Hmm.
as far as it sounds like a helicopter would make.
Hmm.
And then the other part of it was sounds that would be in the background of like a video that I would be looking at, like extremist content online,
Hmm.
as far as, what is the sound in the background of the extremist person that I'm viewing to help and try and figure out where the geolocation was.
For me, it was way before I was doing OSINT. So I wasn't even doing OSINT yet. I was doing SIGINT, but next door in my same unit, we had a MASCENT or MASCENT unit. And they were measuring things like the audio and seismic measurements of like when a tank was rolling by. So they could identify, those type of sounds and different signatures. So it's measurement and signature intelligence is basically what it is. It could be anything from like sound waves to shock waves to whatever, anything that there's
Right.
a something that's not really like your typical signal. And
Mhm.
so that was the first introduction I had, and I thought it was fascinating. I didn't end up going that direction, but I did think it was absolutely fascinating.
It is fascinating. I think that just like satellite imagery before used to be restricted and it used to be something that was very expensive and people didn't have access to, I think with the evolving AI and the technology that we now have access to, it's going to become more easy for people to have access to figuring out what some of the things are that traditionally would fall into Mascent or Mascent. So if you hear a gunshot, at
Mhm.
some point, there's probably going to be an AI tool that's going to be caught, commercial off the shelf technology that somebody can just buy, pop the sound in there that they hear on the video, and the AI will be able to say, this is the kind of gun that shot that bullet, or at least give some competing hypotheses on what kind of gun it was. So I think that it's a really relevant topic because it's going to be it's going to continue to bleed over into OSINT.
Absolutely. And like speaking of that, specifically the gunshot one. Um, Now this is pretty like I think common technology now. 20 years ago when I first heard of it, ShotSpotter was like amazing. Like the thing
Yeah.
is the idea behind it is, and this is soundthinking.com. The idea behind it is that let's see, where do we have spot shotter here? Somewhere in here they'll say spot shotter or not. There we go. The idea is that it's a sensor, and if there's a gunshot, it knows the direction, right? But it goes farther than that. There's somewhere that we're training it in war fighter um, scenarios that not only would it identify the sniper, it would shoot back. Now I don't know if that is actually being used or not, but I love just the idea of that. So I mean, not that I love the idea of shooting back, but like just the audio capability, the acoustic capability, and it is this kind of stuff is out there everywhere right now.
Right. And I mean, there's definitely different noise or acoustic signatures to different things. I, I know it's a weird example, but I heard a sound of an RPG round,
Mhm.
and it was a whoosh sound,
Mhm.
but it was a very distinct sound.
Mhm.
So when I heard that, um, if I had had in that instance, what would have been in Masson or in Masson, I would have been able to figure out that that was actually very close to me. But
Mhm.
I think that again, I think this automation, whether it's a bullet or whether it's a helicopter, or whether it's an RPG, or whether it's the sound of a tire, even like
Mhm.
a snow tire
Or an
versus an
engine.
right, or an engine. I think that this is going to continue to evolve as far as the cots that are available to everybody to be able
Define
to.
cost, please.
Oh, sorry, commercial off-the-shelf technologies.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to make sure that we define things that maybe some of our audience may not understand. So, yeah, so the thing that I think about this, and I know you had mentioned it before we were kind of just chatting, is that originally there's a lot of different technologies that you couldn't do just OSINT style out on the web, but that more and more technologies are being developed, and maybe in some cases open source software or whatever, but that anybody is now going to be able to get their hands on and start learning before they actually have to get their security clearance and like find the real stuff, right? I mean, not that this isn't real stuff, it absolutely is. So let's kind of go through some of our examples of what functionally this can mean for doing it without necessarily having to go into the top secret level stuff, or even possibly in some cases do it in your home. Now, in this case, this is going to be something that hopefully you don't end up having to do at home, this next one, but law enforcement is coming across this. And Sarah, you said you found many examples of this one.
Yes. So this one, though, it was specifically the audio, which is why I pulled this. So this is a 2019 example where they actually heard the woman screaming and talking about the fact that, she was being kidnapped. But there has been multiple news stories now with audio and video showing people being kidnapped through Ring cameras. Mm-hmm. So a component of that would be audio or acoustic analysis. What are the sounds in the background? Mm-hmm. Is the car in the background that might be the criminal's car? What sound is that car making?
Where was it parked? Like, can you tell the sound where it was parked, besides what kind of car it was? And another thing is, like, it makes me think that if somebody was to come in and try to abduct me, in a few rooms I've got some Amazon Alexa. I do have cameras around and a couple of other auto things that maybe at that point I could be like, somebody's trying to kidnap me and they look like this. I might like start ripping off exactly what they look like, although that might get me in trouble because they might understand what I'm doing with it. But you might be able to give some hints on that kind of thing, and thinking of the different automated things that are listening. I mean, even your phone is kind of listening, but it's only listening for beacons unless you turn on the recorder. So
right. Yeah. But that brings up a separate issue, which is the adversarial use of audio devices, because you do have IoT in your environment, and all of the audio devices, there's always a possibility of them being compromised for doing surveillance.
So it'd be like my Alexa could give away a pattern of life, like when I'm home, when I'm not, even when I'm not talking to it. It can hear the sounds that I'm making, and maybe you see like, okay, you can tell when I'm home, you can tell when I arm my alarm maybe, or when I disarm my alarm. So you can get used to like the pattern of that. There could be definitely some security risks with that.
Right.
Whoever gets hold of that audio file or that, the data from it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's, hold on. I think that, okay, yeah, this one's trying to give me a newsletter, but I'm going to share it here. All right, decoding your personality through music and AI experiment. Okay. So now, before you go into what this is, I think that AI is going to be like groundbreaker for like audio OSINT, because there's going to be a lot of AI tools, and we're going to point out some tools you can use right now, but just like amazing stuff you can do with AI having to do with audio that we as humans just can't do. But go ahead.
Right. So there's a couple things about this that I thought was interesting. The first is that, like advertising tracking on websites, and audio OSINT from an advertising and adversarial perspective can be very privacy intrusive. So artificial intelligence can take what somebody listens to as far as music, and they can use that to make a profile of that person's behavior. Specifically, they can look at psychological profiling and emotional insights. It might be able to, in some instances, tell mental health anomalies. There's certain kinds of conditions that some people have where they like different kinds of music versus other kinds of music. And it could look at neurological, and I had to write this down, neurological resonance mapping. So it looks at memory and perception, and then essentially the emotional state of somebody. So at that point, that's emotional profiling, and that can be used for advertising, or that could be used for other things like social engineering. But it can definitely be privacy intrusive.
I can see where this could be used, like right now, even on just TikTok, where what people are listening to, what music they're listening. Are they listening to the protest songs? Are they listening to just new music? Are they listening whatever, like you could identify emotions.
Right. And Facebook currently, and I'm neurodivergent. So Facebook knows I'm neurodivergent. So it always suggests music to me that appeals to neurodivergent people, and will even advertise it as neurodivergent friendly music. So I think that this is a whole field with artificial intelligence for personality profiling that is going to grow. And that can be used for both good things and bad things. For people in everyday life, for OSINT IRL, they just need to know that that now exists. Just like if they're doing Netflix profiles their behavior and makes suggestions to them on what kind of movies they might want to watch. The same applies just to acoustic or audio.
Yeah, and Spotify does. I mean, it suggests music you might want, that sort of thing, and it gives you that Spotify wrap. It gives you some, analysis about you, that sort of thing. And just remember that you get that. That's a cool little thing that you can read about yourself. But remember that the marketers have had that all year.
Right. Right.
All right. So. Okay, let's do another one. This is another one, creepy one you brought to us. Creepy footage shows stranger talk to a child through a hacked security camera.
Yes, because we're going through the adversarial stuff first. So this is a clear example of adversarial use of an audio device in a house. But also a stranger can use the audio device to listen and to see when the parents aren't in the room or when the parents aren't home, which is really frightening.
Yeah, the same thing is like the Alexa. You can like get the, if they just if they're hacked in, they're tapping in, they can just record. And honestly, you don't even need to sit there and listen to the whole hours. And I'm going to show you some tools. Sarah has reviewed some tools, and then I'll show you one that's absolutely free that's going to let you have the audio kind of in a graphic example where you can go and look for the gaps, and okay, this is when they're not home, this is when this is when they're sleeping, whatever. You can find pattern in life just by that. So a hacker listening to your kid's Teddy Ruxpin that talks to him or whatever could be find out the pattern of life.
Right. And that's another reason why it's always important to make sure that all of your IoT devices in your house are always password protected and they're always hardened.
And yeah, so not the root password, not the password they give you. You create a new password for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, next up. Now this one and the next one, we talk about how different wildlife conservationists are paying attention to audio to help you identify things. So this, I was surprised when I saw you put this one in there, Sarah. Scientists found a way to identify fish by the sounds they make.
Yes.
I was like, wow, that, and I mean, you use some kind of a acoustic intelligence when you're fishing, and you have the fish finder, because basically it's kind of sending signals down, right? But this is different. Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, this is very different. And I thought at first I was like, fish, what could I do with fish? But you never know. You might be like, okay, if there's a sound of a fish or a fish could be present, maybe it could tell you the geolocation, the latitude, longitude, kind of rough area of where you are. So why not? And the fact that, again, this is becoming commercial off the shelf, or it's becoming something that's more easily accessible to everybody, it could be used for location.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, whether it's a video, but my thought is, and we're going to talk about the bird one next, but if you had the fish one, if the fish one's commercial and they set it out there, and so you have who knows what you're listening to it with, but you're going, okay, I'm looking for bass, and I'm going around and I'm like, okay, those aren't bass, okay, those are bass. But the way that it may show you the little audiogram thing at the top you might be also be able to start recognizing like motorboat sounds and different things like that that you can actually identify as well. So let's talk about the bird one here for a moment, because I really want to go into this bird one because I use this myself. Go ahead.
Yes. So Kirby actually will be able to talk about an app on this, but birds are an excellent way, or bird sounds are an excellent way to try and figure out where a video might be taken. If there's background bird noises, there's certain birds that are only in certain places. So if it's a bird from Australia and it's making Australian bird noises, then maybe that video was filmed in Australia. So bird sounds can actually be very helpful for geolocation analysis.
I would say even if it's the birds in Australia, usually they're not all over in Australia, they're in certain sections, right? So I mean, it's like it can be very fine-tuned to location.
And if it's a migratory bird, it can also provide possible insights into time of year of when the video was taken.
Right. Yes, exactly. Where their breeding grounds or wherever you like, what time of year or where would that bird likely be? So what I want to bring to your attention for this is that Columbia University has a tool called Merlin and then another tool called eBird. And you can use either one. I love Merlin personally. When you open up Merlin, you can actually turn on the audio thing and have it listen to the birds around you and identify what birds are around you so that you can like know what to look for if you're a bird watcher, right? But it shows you the little graphs. You can like, I can identify, on that graph, like here's the, neighborhood noise, here's when a big truck goes by, whatever, here's when I cough, different things on the graph. But also you could, if you're watching a video from somewhere, you could turn it on, just make sure that you download the location kits that go to where you think that bird might be coming from so that it can recognize the bird that you're hearing on a video. And then at that point now it's just so easy. It's just clicking into it to see like, where's that bird's range? And maybe you hear a whole bunch of different birds because it's going to hear birds you don't hear. And now you can see where the ranges all intersect and say, okay, this is like where that video is likely from. And you can go a little bit further with your analysis.
Right.
I don't know if AI can quite do that yet. I haven't seen AI really analyze videos well. Photos, I think it's the audio part that they have a hard time with still. But I think that will be better. So it might be at some point where you're like, what birds are around? Where's this thing located basically on the birds' noises? And to be honest, geospy.ai might already be working on that.
I think it's coming down the pike already. But it's just not as accessible. So I went to the World AI Summit. There was some audio AI tools that were pretty spot on. Yeah. But they're not perfect yet. So
and none of the AI tools are perfect. So we have that. Yeah. Okay. So. Well, the next one is like that's how to find the beat of any song, a complete guide for 2026.
I thought this one was interesting for a couple of reasons. The first is if you are trying to figure out, again, where a location is, like say you hear music in the background and it's a video or it's a phone call or this kind of tool could help you figure out what that beat is from if it's a partial clip.
So, okay, good point. Okay, so you have like a clip of maybe for the human traffickers, you might have like a clip of music and you might say, okay, if we can just figure out, what song that came from, then maybe I can identify that it's actually, okay, this is likely in the Dominican Republic or something like that based on the song.
Right. Or if let's say there was a crime at a nightclub.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, that and potentially, depending on how the nightclub does their music, you might be able to get the time right based on that too. So interesting. All right. So this next one I thought was interesting as well for sensory sound ID. So that's like the idea of like not just identifying the birds, not just identifying, the fish, right?
Right. So this one can say that sound is an alarm. That sound is a firecracker. That sound is a. And again, this will be very helpful for OSINT analysis as it continues to get better and better because it'll get to a very finite, I think, point where it will be able to differentiate this kind of alarm versus that kind of alarm.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Not only is it a car alarm, but this is the car alarms that Hondas have.
right. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Okay, we have a little video to run. Okay, making sure that I can. The hidden background noise that can catch criminals. And so here we've got, to start, we're going to play a few seconds of this, but the hum that helps to fight crime, we're talking about a gang that was selling weapons. And let's go ahead and watch a few seconds of this video.
This type of evidence has been used in court to date recordings. The longer recording you have, the better. As an absolute minimum, I think about a minute. If it's a noisy recording or if the ENF isn't particularly clear, then the longer recording you have, the better.
So, find the mains hum frequency in the footage and then write code to match it against the millions of possibilities in the National Grid logs. Does it work? Well, to find out, I asked some friends of mine who make videos to send me over some of their raw footage, straight out of the camera, unprocessed, unfiltered, and I asked the forensic team, can you timestamp it? First up, footage from Taha, one of the team behind educational channel Answer in Progress.
Okay, now we can't let this run too far because we will get copyright struck for it. So we want to make sure that we don't, run over somebody's copyright. But we will share, of course, the link in the YouTube notes. If you're watching on Twitch right now, YouTube's going to be uploaded tomorrow. And if you want to, you can just zip through the notes. Same name, OSINT IRL. If those of you who are watching on YouTube didn't know, we have a live Twitch show every Wednesday. So you can watch us live and interact with us if you want to. Sarah, go ahead and talk about this hidden background noise video.
Well, it's energy. So the energy frequencies are making different noises near the power lines. And that could be utilized for figuring out where something is, including criminals. So this is an actual tool that they figured out. I think the UK actually did it first, if I'm not mistaken, where they said, oh, okay, we can look at electrical network frequency from an audio perspective because it has sound, and we can use that for actually catching criminals.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes total sense, but it's not something that we usually think of when we're thinking about OSINT. But again,
yeah, go ahead.
But again, it's going to become easier as these tools become more easily accessible. And if you get a video and there's power lines in the background, maybe you might want to, pop it off to somebody else and say, hey, can you hear any of with your tools? Can you hear any of the ENF with that?
Right. And again, this is where, as humans, we might actually hear, but we might not even hear it at all. It's kind of the thing where our brain will put something in the background because it's not important to us at the moment.
Right. Right.
All right. Let's see. And here we go. Another thing about the hidden background noise that can catch criminals. And I believe this is the same concept, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is talking about ENF analysis, which right now it's a little bit more, techie, but so I don't think most OSINT analysts are going to jump out there and do ENF analysis at this point, but I do think that it's something that OSINT analysts need to at least start thinking about. So again, if there's a power grid in what they're looking at as far as content, then there's a possibility that something like ENF analysis might be able to assist. And and again, the COTS, the commercial off-the-shelf technology, might eventually evolve where you might be able to do it at your desk yourself.
So. Something just wake you up as well, as far as what could be possible when we talk about audio. If you have a video, okay, so maybe that's the electric lines, maybe it's the cars driving by, maybe it's weather making noise, whatever. Start to think of everything I see in this video instead of what I see, but everything I hear in this video as well. And what I would expect to hear in that kind of situation, which might be a little bit harder to think about, but what I would maybe consider is go to the AI and say, okay, what kind of sounds would I expect to hear in this kind of scenario? So you might get a list of other things to maybe think about.
And that's actually a very interesting point, because one of the things that you can do is you can take out the primary noise out of the video so that you can hear the background noise in the video. So sometimes if you take out the primary noise, the things that are in the background that are the background noise become more apparent because you've taken out the thing that you're focused on, or your ears are focused on.
Yes. I just remembered like the guitar, the Apple program, GarageBand, like, you get the different audio lines. Now, I'm not sure how to separate them once they're together, but I'm sure somebody can. But you can like start to eliminate and say, okay, like here's these different, bands of audio. So thing to think
Right.
about, right? And I didn't include GarageBand in our analysis software, but maybe that would be something that could help you with analysis as well. But we will have some cool software for you in a moment. All right. Moving to a different topic, how AI-based speech-to-text improves audio evidence analysis. Go ahead, Sarah.
So this is just a very practical tip, just like it's practical to put data into an Excel spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to take the AI of its words
Mm-hmm.
and putting it into text, then obviously that gives you a whole nother data set to look at, and it also makes sure that you don't miss anything.
Right.
Because, yeah.
The AI might mix things, and what I would consider is like when you're going through, listen and read it at the same time. Because what I find is that something like even just our own AI note taker that we use for our meetings, and yes, we do use an AI note taker for our meetings, but sometimes it'll put the wrong word there. And as I listen, I'm like, no, I know the right word for that, so I can correct it, but there might be some things that maybe I wouldn't have remembered to write down or whatever. It can be like, precise and have timestamps and everything. It's not going to replace the audio bit as your evidence, but it's something to add to it, and it can add timestamps to it, so you can zip straight to those sections really quickly to listen to the audio too.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about the Crime Radar article about life-assisted call near Janus Drive in Salem. And Sarah, you want me to play this, right?
Yes.
No. Okay, let's play it. It's not letting me play it. Hold on, let me return it and see if I can reload that page and see if I can hear it. Okay, let's get rid of that. Oh, there we go.
Now that the page shows them route.
Copy. Showing you en route 228 Janice Drive. We have Packard on scene that has requested y'all non-emergent for a lift assist.
Got
All right, so
this is more actually, this is actually old school OSINT data wrapped in a newer, more modern wrapper. But shortwave radios, local news, local audio news, if there's emergency casts that are available, all of those can really provide contextual information to a regional or area specific investigation. And the thing with Crime Radar and other tools like that is if you're looking at a specific topic in a specific area at a specific time, and if the historical data is posted online like this is, it could be of use.
Mm-hmm. Like it can theoretically jump you right to a map. Let me go back. But yeah, so like it can hurry up and like transcribe it all for you, and yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, let's try the next one. Now let's get into a whole different topic as well. Right. Deepfakes, right? So Euronews journalist voices stolen in fake anti-Ukraine videos. So like this, now this is the case, like you're familiar with the voice, you hear that voice every day on the TV, on the news or whatever, and then you hear it say something that you wouldn't necessarily think wouldn't be jarring, but you would think that it was that voice, but it's something that directs your attention or directs your emotional feeling or your belief in the news or whatever into a different thing. So for example, if Mr. Rogers' voice suddenly started saying, that don't watch, that Sesame Street is bad, or who knows, whatever. Maybe you would be like, oh, I'm not going to watch Sesame Street anymore. But we're talking like reporters here. So go ahead, Sarah.
Well, I think this is where we're starting to talk about deepfakes, and being able to do audio information verification for deepfakes, which I know is one of the big topics right now with audio and acoustic intelligence. This is something that is not just for cognitive security, though, as far as what people believe. It also, we discussed it in an earlier OSINT IRL Twitchcast, is it's also being used for scams. So being able to figure out if something is real that you're hearing is becoming a very serious thing. If it's a phone call and somebody is asking you for banking information and saying it's your relative, it may or may not be your relative if they're able to clone your relative's voice. So you really have to start thinking about what measures you put in place.
What can't be cloned?
Right, what can't be cloned.
Or at least not easily.
Yeah, yeah. So with cognitive security in the news, though, I think one of the things that you can do with this is look and see if who's actually putting that audio clip out, who is amplifying the audio clip, and then after that, if it seems like something that doesn't jive with what that journalist would be putting out. If you are doing an OSINT investigation, you might need to, at that point, use some of the tools we're going to be talking about shortly to look at the actual frequencies in the cast to see if it was altered or if it was actually AI. But for everyday people, that just you have to start thinking about is that from a reliable and credible source.
And I think the very first thing you should do, though, is look at that source. That's the first thing you should do.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But this is just like image deepfakes. Audio deepfakes are going to continue to be a common adversarial tactic, and as AI develops, it's going to become a lot easier.
I mean, we're already seeing this with videos where there'll be a video online and everybody's like, "Oh, what a great video!" or "Oh, can you believe what this happened?" And you can tell because you're an analyst or you have an analytic mind, that's AI. But you can see everybody taking it for, just for granted that it's a video, it's, real, and it doesn't seem to be like something that's obviously AI. AI is getting better and better and better.
It is getting better and better, and it's going to get to the point where people aren't going to be able, even if they're an analyst, and there's some now that an analyst would look at and they wouldn't know that it's AI.
So the source is important. Source. Yeah. All right. Let's go to a little video. All right. So this is a YouTube short. How to create realistic AI voice clones.
Scene in Mission Impossible where they essentially replicated the villain's voice just by recording him saying a few sentences. I'd always wanted to try this with mine and my friends' voices, but it had never been possible. Until now. I found a site where you can use instant voice cloning to perfectly replicate anyone's voice with just 10 seconds of audio. I know, right? Simply go to their website, select Create Voice, record and upload your audio, and within seconds, you'll have a realistic clone of your voice ready to say whatever you want. And if you don't believe it sounds realistic,
I'm literally using my voice clone right now.
So if you want to check it out, the site's called podcastle.ai. So I remember watching this.
So in that case, it was podcastle.ai. I think that, the 10-second one, it gave him a little bit of a deeper voice. What do you think, Sarah?
I thought it was
ones that are better.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit off, but the concept is spot on. And 11 Labs, as you know, 11 Labs, 11 Labs is really good.
So they don't do 10-second instant ones. They do like 1 minute instant ones, but they also have like a full voice clone where they want like an hour or so of you speaking, and they'll keep telling you when to add more video, add more audio, whatever, or speak more into it until they like clone your voice. And it's inexpensive. Sarah, how much was it per month? Because I know that when I first bought in, it was much cheaper. I think it's 18 a month.
Yeah, it was about 22 a month.
Okay. Yeah. Still really inexpensive. And the 1 minute instant voice clones, you can clone anybody.
Right.
Of course, that full voice clone, the big long one, you're going to want to save that for the which one, because you can only do one of those on that plan. If you want a higher plan, you do more. But yeah, the The short ones are pretty good though, still. All right, we will talk about 11 Labs again here in a moment. We got another video for you. Again, a few seconds that I'm going to do in here, but this is another, this time a step-by-step tutorial on how to make amazing deep fakes with AI tools. And when we talk about deep fakes, it could be just audio, it could be just photos, but it could also be audio and video together, right? Anyway, we'll go a few seconds here.
So let's jump right in. All right, let's get started. First, I want to introduce the tools that we're going to use. We're going to use 11 Labs.
11 Labs.
To generate the voice or clone the voice. We're going to use Runway to remove the background of the original video that we acquire for whatever celebrity is or whoever it is. And then we're going to use Sync Labs to do the lip sync and combine the video and the audio file together to kind of do the final product. And then obviously we'll also use some kind of video editing software. So, you know, iMovie, Premiere Pro, whatever you like. It doesn't have to be a very complicated software. I'm going to use.
All right, so 3 tools and a video editing software, so 4 tools, right? So 11 Labs, like we mentioned, and then he talks about using Runway ML, which is a video tool, video AI tool. And then he talks about I forgot the name of the other one already, but we'll put it in the chat or in the show notes. And then last of all, a video tool, and I've got a really excellent free video tool for you coming up. So it's not hard to make deepfakes.
Right. And one of the things that I wanted to mention about this is that there's so many tutorials right now on YouTube and other resources on how to make deep fakes. So it's not just something that high-level strategic adversaries are going to be doing. This is something that anybody can go onto YouTube and say, oh, I'm going to make a deep fake today. Sometimes it'll be for fun. Sometimes it'll be for educational purposes. And sometimes it could be for anything from petty crime to an adversarial perception management campaign by a nation state actor. It's becoming much more common and easy for anybody to do and for anybody to learn.
Yeah. And the other one was lip sync AI, by the way, I remember now. Yeah, it's something that I've been playing with. There's a lot of free tools, and if you want to, you could just kind of play with some of the tools and try to make things as realistic as you can. And that's one of the things I do on Sora. Sora, when you download it, it has a little watermark that floats around. But there's apps that remove the watermark, so you remove that and try and get like something that's super realistic that people can't tell is AI. And right now, I think I have at least one that most people would think are AI. If you want to know more about that and to be able to tell if mine's AI or not, join our support group. That is a support group for this live stream, but it's also for our digital knowledge base, which you'll see a little bit more of in a moment. And basically, we have a discussion of this every Friday, and we also, we put blog articles, whatever. But I'm going to put a challenge to see if you guys can tell which one of my videos are AI and which one of them are not. So cool. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Oh, this is where we get into the tools. All right, so let's go into the individual tools. Now, before we talk about this individual tool, Isotope RX11, this is in our Plessis digital knowledge base. That is at knowledgebase.plessis.net. You can find it on plessis.net. If you go to the resources, knowledge base is the very first resource. This is something where we build a database of different tools. We try to identify where things are coming from, who built them, what the tool is used for, and if there's any controversies having to do with the tool. So whether or not it's safe for you to use. Sarah, how about Isotope RX11?
So I didn't know about this one at all until I went to the first Swiss OSINT conference, which was on November 14th, 2025. And they had a presenter, I wrote her name down, so forgive me because I sometimes forget last names, but it was Jasmine Jacot-Discombe. And she did a presentation on audio forensics and journalism and how you can actually do frequency analysis or wave analysis to figure out if something's been altered. And she showed the audience how to do that from an OSINT perspective or an investigative perspective. So one of the tools that she recommended was Isotope RX11. And it was really interesting to see how it worked. And you could see like the little black areas in between where something might have been omitted or taken out or altered. And it was a very helpful tool for not just forensics, but for OSINT.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So this would be of definite use if you're trying to identify altercations or deepfakes.
Right. Or even editing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Even
Right.
editing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What about Adobe Audition?
She recommended this one also, and this is also one that I know has been used in Audacity was used in some of the TTC
Yeah,
tapes.
that one.
But Adobe Audition is another one that you can use for frequency and wave analysis and to look at, whether there's been altercations. So that's another one that you could utilize for investigations.
And speaking of Audacity, now some people might know Audacity, especially if you listen to podcasts or you have done a podcast, because Audacity is a very popular tool. Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Audacity is another one that you can use for voice information verification. So you're doing audio information verification. So this would be another one that you can utilize. This one I know was even engaged in a CTF or somebody's OSINT CTF at one point to be able to utilize it to figure out if a file had been altered.
Deep audio analysis, it says right there. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Audacity is well known. All right.
Yep.
And we've already mentioned 11 Labs. I love 11 Labs. If you wrote a book, for example, and you needed to make an audiobook, you could do your whole audiobook on 11 Labs if you wanted to, with different characters and everything. For very
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would have to do some tweaks because it might mispronounce some words at some point, but it's going to save you a lot of time.
And your voice. Save your voice.
So,
absolutely. All right.
And what's not on here before Kirby mentions the one that she's going to show you is that Camtasia also can be utilized because in addition to making videos with Camtasia, you can divide out the audio on Camtasia like different people and give them their own lines. And so that actually goes to the earlier thing we were talking about isolating different sounds, because you can do part of that on Camtasia.
Camtasia. You know what? You can do that on Zoom as well. If you have a meeting on Zoom, you can actually, when the recording comes out, you can have everybody have a different audio file, which is amazing. If somebody doesn't have somebody's voice is much lower, or somebody's got background noise, you can use the noise filter just on their stream. There's some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next one, I love this tool, Suno, and you guys will see a Suno product here soon, because we're going to create a little intro to so that we can let people give a little time countdown before we go live. But Suno does songs, music, and you can actually upload a hook into it and create your own music with it. Sarah, why did you put that one in here for analysis?
Well, I put it in there just to show how easy it is to make or to create, and it's it
does really well.
Yeah,
does really well.
And you reviewed it for our knowledge base. So.
Yeah, well, and that's because I love it too. So the thing here is, you can have it create your lyrics and the music and everything, but a lot of times I'll create my own lyrics, and I make videos for everybody's birthday, and I personalize all the stuff, and I make music for it. And I love this tool so much. There was a conference we had one time where, for some reason, I can't remember, the internet was fine. I think the projector went out or something like that. And I was like, okay, everybody go to Suno.com. Let's make a song about the projector going out. And they had a lot of fun while we were waiting for the, IT to fix this.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, might as well, right? Okay, here's another one. Resemble AI. Now, I've heard of this one, but I don't think that I've seen this. I haven't used it before. Tell us about it, Sarah.
So this is a fairly new platform. It has a part of it for audio information verification. So it's an AI effort to be able to do information verification. And it's think it's going to continue to evolve. I think the platform's going to continue to evolve. But this is a good start, I mean, for identifying deep fakes. So,
yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, this is not reviewed yet, I don't think, but I wanted to share this one. So Camtasia is a premium product. I think you have to pay at least $200-something a year to run it. DaVinci Resolve is actually a free kind of version of that. And they're well known for having a really good audio tool. So Sarah, that's something also when we were talking about audio ourselves to video, maybe you want to check out DaVinci Resolve. There's a lot of how-to videos. I think it's not as straightforward as Camtasia, but it's another one where you can actually watch the grid and see like the peaks of audio, that sort of thing, and like jump to timestamps and things like that. It's pretty nice.
I haven't tried this one, so I'll have to play with it after the show.
Yeah, definitely. I have played with it, but it's been a while since I played with it. But I think I should jump right back into it because I was actually really impressed with the audio, but also like the video coloring. So if you're actually doing videos, you can like color adjust really nicely in DaVinci. But I think that's the bulk of our content. We have one last thing for you. And so we're gonna leave you with a little bit of slop. And Sarah, let's
Well, before that, on the knowledge base, I just wanted to mention that we update the knowledge base every week. And so this one, the DaVinci Resolve will be added as far as a review of it into the knowledge base. And the knowledge base itself is free, in addition to our Twitch OSINT IRL. And as Kirby mentioned, we do have our premium community, in which you can come on Fridays and actually talk to Kirby and I one-on-one if you want, or in a small group. And then also I send out a weekly newsletter, or we send out a weekly newsletter that is kind of an assessment of things that are going on in the OSINT environment. And is there anything else to add to that, Kirby?
No, I just want to say it's $5.99 a month if you wanted to join, or $65 a year. You can see that, the link to it, either in the actual knowledge base, which let me go back to how to get to that. Hold on. So I'm going to go back here. So I went to the about this database. At the bottom of about this database, it talks about the premium choices if you want to, and you just click in there and go ahead and sign up, and you'll support us, keep us doing OSINT IRL, but you'll also get a lot more. You'll get a whole community. You'll know when our classes come up, or new tools. You'll see that I'm actually like playing with Claude a little bit and building my own Facebook search engine. And yeah, just communicate with us.
Yep, absolutely. Yes.
All right.
Now we can do AI slap of the week. Today's AI slap of the week is on trash pandas.
All right. Here we go.
Velocity headquarters, testing a 0 to raccoon in 6 seconds. Laundry basket's not rated for this. What up, trash fam? I'm Binko, this here's Spud. We hang out, we explore, we find snacks. That's kind of the vibe. Anyway, welcome to the neighborhood. All right.
I like that it's fake influencers is the name of the channel. So you can like go and see some, besides the trash pandas, maybe some other fake influencers. Anyway, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yep.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.